And we're back here, second hour main event on Thursdays. Well, he's joining us remotely today, but every Thursday at 9 o'clock, we get Uncle Lou there. He has his name on his background there. Is that so if you don't forget it, Lou, or if somebody else doesn't forget it?
Yeah, that's the first listing I got when I moved here 25 years ago as a realtor.
Nice.
And so we put in commercial, we put our name on the sign, and that is the first listing. I don't remember what the address of the property was, but that's from CB Richard Ellis, and I take it with me proudly.
Nice. No, I'm just giving you a hard time about your name being back there. But the problem is, it's like a UFC name. It's like I can say your last name until I read it. Now I'm like, what?
Yeah, no, you believe me, no one's been able to conquer it on the first attempt unless they're Mediterranean.
I'm not going to try now just because I see it written out and I'm going to
Don't even
butcher it
worry
beyond
about
belief.
it. Uncle
Right?
Lou.
Uncle Lou is what we know it as there. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Always happy to be with you. And there's a lot going on in a normal time that usually everybody's just ramping up for the NCAA tournament. But we have World Baseball Classic, the World Cup's eventually coming. Hockey playoffs are 20 games away from playoffs now. We're getting close. So there's a lot going on. And it's a fresh time for me because of the lack of NFL. And so I can really focus on the UFC and studying for these upcoming sports and tournaments.
Absolutely. So, well, first, tell everybody who you are, where they can find you, gamblu.com, at Gamblu on X. Tell everybody about that, and then we'll get rolling into it with college baseball, a little NHL talk. World Baseball Classic already has kicked off over in Tokyo, but the big games happen overnight into tomorrow. So, but tell everybody where they can find you, what you do.
I'm a sports handicapper. It's what hopefully the Lord bestows gifts on everybody. I know he does. I think one of mine might be that I've always been good at this. At least I've always really been passionate about it. And so the simple trick is that I use sports for me as a vehicle to try and earn money. And so I have assimilated with many of the fine folks in Las Vegas and other gambling areas around the country and world to try and make connections and be a better sports investor. And most of what I really bring comes from conservative roots in Omaha, Nebraska, where Warren Buffett is the king of investing. I try and take his principles of patience and long-term hold and apply them to sports betting. Anything you want to find out about me, Louis Finicaro, I'm gamblu.com, and you can go to the webpage, and that's your one-stop shop. I'm fortunate enough to have a nice web page there that some folks in Omaha designed for me. And anything you want to find out about me, a daily blog, etc., can be found there. And you'll see that there's a podcast section there. I do 2 podcasts for the UFC each week. One is the Sneak Teep podcast, takes place each Sunday, and it's a opening line look at any UFC card that there happens to be that week. No UFC card, no Sneak Teep. Friday's Bout Business podcast are my final releases for each week's UFC fight card. I wait until Friday to release them because I'm not trying to get hits and be the most popular website. I'm trying to release winners, and I need to see weigh-ins in order to do it. So lastly, at that top band that you're looking at, you can see anything about me and Gamblu that you want to, but the most important one is the one that Steve lets me mention each week, San Xavier Del Bach Mission, the oldest mission in the United States, the oldest mission in Arizona. Obviously, it sits just south of Tucson, a few hours south of where we are right now. They're doing really great work right there. And I always try and mention the mission. It's close to my family and my heart. Gamblu makes regular contributions to the mission, and we invite any interested party to check that link right there that Riley's got flashing. You hit that, it'll take you right to the San Xavier mission on its own. So, Steve, thanks again for letting me mention that.
Absolutely. And hey, it's a rough time out there. We all know what's going on in the world and the market and the economy and stuff like that. So don't forget, if you're able to, about the charities and people helping out, people struggling out there as well, Lou. So I'm proud of you on that. You know that. That's what I'm most proud about knowing you for in this industry that you are in out there. So, which brings me to my next point here. Look, SEC domination. ASU goes to Texas last week and promptly loses their games against Texas A&M, and those big schools there in college baseball. Of course, season's just started. We haven't got into the play on that side of it. But I know you expect SEC to be dominant here in the baseball side of it. Did anything last weekend just reinforce that, or is it just standard protocol for you in terms of the SEC and college baseball?
Honestly, I paid no attention to the baseball in the college world until we get to conference play. And then it'll take me 2 weeks because I want to see Clemson play
Yeah.
Miami and I need to see LSU go to Tennessee and see these teams sharpen steel on steel. So I of the levels of sports that I'm studying right now, unfortunately, college baseball is really low. But here's what I will say, and I'll say it this year about ASU because I said it last year about the U of A, and that is that somebody in that baseball program at ASU cares because they've bitten off a little more than they can chew early in the season by going to get themselves in street fights with bigger kids. But at the end of the day, once you get done fighting your big brother 2 years older than you every day, and then you go to school and some kid in your own class wants to fight you, that's a mismatch. And so I applaud ASU for taking the tough games early and against name programs in order to build themselves up for the long term. That's what it indicates to me, and it'll bear watching.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, just really quick on the baseball top 25. To me, it's a shocker, but UCLA's here ranked number one. They're 9-2 on the season for them, but they are up there. Big Ten team, of course, here early on the season. Then, of course, followed by LSU, Texas, Mississippi State. Then Georgia Tech sneaks in there. Then you got Arkansas, Auburn, North Carolina, Florida, and Southern Miss there for the top 10 is what you're looking at as of right now on that top 10
Yeah,
on the
so you got
baseball side.
SEC, ACC, and one or two others.
Big
Southern
10,
Miss,
yeah.
who's probably going to be a real team this year. Southern Miss has history of success in college baseball, and it's about time for them to cycle through again. At the end of the day, UCLA is a real team, and I do believe they will make it to Omaha.
Really? Yeah, but I
I
haven't
do.
watched one of their games, but I've been reading about them and just that the stadium that they play in is a bigger stadium, so that obviously will garner them as they get into those types of stadiums as they'll be used to
They
playing
have
on
some
that
good.
level.
They have some good pitchers returning from last year too, Stephen. Of
Yeah.
course, baseball is all about hurlers.
Yeah. You don't win if your starting pitcher gives up 10 runs in the first inning very often, right? So you gotta
That's
gotta
right.
dominate at that level. Hey, NHL, you like you said, you're starting to pay attention to that a little bit as it goes on. Anything you're seeing, noticing? I know, obviously the Avalanche with everybody coming back. I should phrase it this way: from everybody coming back from the Olympics. You seeing any hurt from any of these teams that had players over there that were dominant before? Anything changing your mind? At least you're paying more attention to here moving forward on the NHL side as we get closer to the playoffs.
Yeah, I am watching the teams that had a lot of players in the Olympics, and only not because I'm looking for stuff now because I don't bet it now. I'm looking for any indication that by the time the playoffs come, there could be some attrition. There could be some effect from playing a month or 3 weeks of extra games at high levels of emotion for your country. I'm clouded right now in hockey because I can't get past the phenomenal story that is the Buffalo Sabres right
Yeah,
now, and I'm late to we're late to talk about it,
yeah,
but for 2 3 weeks a month now, Buffalo's turned the corner and started to come, and
yeah.
a Buffalo Sabres team that could make the playoffs would just overjoy me, especially in lieu of the other Canadian teams. We have I don't have any hatred for the Canadian teams. I'm of the opinion that we need Canadian teams in the playoffs. in order to keep a good, strong NHL. And I really believe that. But getting Buffalo to come in now ahead of a few of these other
Yeah.
Calgarys and Vancouvers would really be great. I think not only for the States, but it would be great for New York and for Buffalo. Those fans are the loyalist
Yeah.
fans out there, and they've got nothing but dirt thrown in them for years and years. They've toiled with poor teams, and to see the Sabres playing strong, dynamic hockey right now is really
Well,
joyful.
you say we're late to that party. Like you could see them making a run last week when we talked, but then they've won four more now. They're in that second spot there in the Atlantic. But don't sleep on the Detroit Red Wings, right? When I was a
Well,
kid, right? Detroit was the hockey town and all that, and they're in that third spot right behind the Sabres. We're having a resurgence of these old good teams coming back into it, which I agree with you. I think it's great for the sport.
oh, Detroit, of course, Detroit would be great, and Detroit's playing good hockey too. And
Yeah.
and so I look at the West as being a little more wide open, especially with these upstarts in the East. But you never know.
We talked last week. Tampa Bay was on fire going into the Olympic break. After the Olympic break, we're on fire. But now they've lost three in a row. Their Tampa Bay is starting to falter a little bit with their momentum kind of stopped there. And that's where it's allowed Buffalo to come back. Buffalo and Detroit. Buffalo's only 2 points behind Tampa, and Detroit's only 3 points behind them as of right now. So we're seeing a little. It's not as it's becoming less wide open here in the East. But I agree with you. Compared to the West, the Avalanche are continuing to roll. The Dallas Stars continue to play well. I know you're not high on them because of goaltending, if I'm correct. That's why I'm not high on Dallas, at least. But your Wild are still hanging there, but the Dallas Stars just keep winning. They've won 10 in a row.
Typical for the regular season. Just to swing back to the East
Yep.
quickly, just because Tampa has lost a couple games right now, there's a little soon to don't overreact. Now I'm telling you, the team to beat in the East is Tampa.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Detroit and Buffalo are great stories, but to compete with that team with that gristle and that experience, I'm just saying, pull the reins just a little bit.
Don't do
Getting
what I
back to
typically do
Dallas,
and overreact. Okay.
getting back to Dallas. This is what Dallas does.
Yeah.
Dallas is your prototypical regular season stalwart. And then when they get into the postseason, unfortunately for them, they don't play enough blue line defense in front of a goaltender that kind of like Hellebuyck in Winnipeg. When the pressure gets real high, they don't have their best games. Now I'm not that's the easiest way for me to put it. It's the facts.
Yes.
Okay. And until one of those guys can break through that and kick the door in, unfortunately, if I'm going to think that, especially if they leave them back there naked, meaning without a blue line.
Yeah, so it's fascinating. Just kind of what we're seeing in the NHL is they're on a playoff push right now, and we are seeing movement out there from teams. Making some pushes and making some runs either way coming up here. So it is going to be fascinating to watch. But the big question I got for you, Lou, are you waking
Uh-oh.
up at 3:00 this morning to watch Japan play Chinese Taipei in the World Baseball Classic? You're a guy. You called the shots and said you put your money on Japan on this thing. Are you going to wake
I
up at
did.
3 a.m. and watch it?
Absolutely not. No, I'll watch these games. Here's what happens. In fact, it's so important. This is the time of year where we're talking about bracketed tournaments. NCAA basketball, though I don't work it, but hockey is bracketed. World Baseball Classic, it's a bracketed
Yes.
tournament. And unless you understand where the teams are, who they play, how they run through towards who they could play, you're leaving so much of the handicap out of it. So, to answer your question, I'm not going to wake up and watch games in Japan. You know why? Because my team's coming out of the Japan bracket. I have a good team.
Yeah.
I know they're coming out of it. I know who they are. I've been betting this thing since its inception when I went to a game here. And so I can't wait to watch games. And we will, in fact, be able to do so because most of these games in the championships will be in Miami this year. And that's going to be a benefit to those of us on this side of the hemisphere. And it'll be a disadvantage to say if Japan does get over here, who are they going to play? Well, they're going to play the US, Venezuela, or the Dominicans. And so all of those will be on this side of the hemisphere. Makes for a great tournament, and I can't wait to get into it a little bit more. So
Yeah.
I'll wake up and check the score.
Well, I mean, the other thing is I dare I say this, I'd wake up at 3 in the morning if it was a big game, but Japan versus Chinese Taipei, maybe I'm underestimating the Chinese Taipei team a little bit, but I expect Japan to win that game. So why am I going to wake up to watch a game where I expect it to be kind of a blowout, like you said, type of a deal? But we'll see. Maybe Chinese Taipei has something for him.
I mean, I'd like to see a line on the game. I don't think it's going to be out of hand. I mean, the Chinese are proud athletes
Yeah.
too. So
DraftKings doesn't have any odds out for the World Baseball Classic that I saw this morning. It doesn't mean that they don't have them. It's just when I looked earlier, I didn't see them out there. So, yeah, that's true. You can bet on anything.
are
So
you
I'd be
sure they're
shocked.
playing Chinese Taipei or are they playing Chechnya?
Japan's playing Chinese Taipei. Chechnya played Korea already today, and then they're playing at 8 p.m. tonight. Australia's playing Chechnya.
So Chinese
Taipei.
Taipei was a qualifier. They came in through the qualifier
Yes.
round.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
pretty advantageous draw for
Yeah.
Japan.
Well, I'm going off of the World Baseball Classic site, so I'm going to assume that's correct.
That's correct.
I mean, you're right. I mean,
All my notes, these notes are a month,
yeah.
6 weeks old. I have all kinds of stuff scribbled all over.
Yeah, so I don't know. That was going to be my big question: is Lou going to get up at 3 a.m. to watch this? The nice thing about it, other than the 3 a.m. game that happens in Tokyo every day, every other game is 9, 10, 11, 4, 5, 6, and then 8 again from Taipei. So it's baseball all day long here for the World Baseball Classic. If you want to, go into that here going into this weekend.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
So before we get into UFC, anything you want to add on any of these other sports or anything catching your eye lately at all?
I don't think so. Outside of saying that I'm not afraid to wake up at odd hours to watch an event. I mean, if there was a Sinner against Alcaraz tennis final
Yeah.
that kicks off at 6 in the morning, I'm up at 6 and
Yeah.
I'm up at 5 walking my dog. So by 6, I'm thinking about checking in, looking at numbers and stuff. So if something's on the TV, absolutely, I'll take it in. I
I
love morning
I
sports,
do. I love morning sports. It's
just
no
like
matter
I
what it
like
is.
morning coffee.
I'm gonna let that sit there for a second as well.
I put that delay was on purpose.
Hey, let's get into the UFC then. I know you have different opinions than
Tough
I do.
segue, huh, Steve?
Well, yeah, right. Yeah. Apologies to everybody who has kids in the car. No, I'm just kidding. That was tame compared to what I normally say, Lou. But I'll just say this about last week's UFC fights there from Mexico City. Except for maybe 2 fights, just a dud of a card. I don't know what your thoughts were on it. Very disappointing. I didn't enjoy most of it. It's the first time it's been that way in a long time. Why am I more heightened to it, though? Because it's on Paramount now, and it's more of a hype to it and things to that effect. I just thought putting that big of a dud of a card together was just a big disappointment here. 3 weeks into the UFC season, 4 weeks into the UFC season? Your overall thoughts on it?
My first thoughts are questions, and that is, why was it a dud? Tell me
I just didn't think they
made
were
it a
great
dud.
fights. Now
Okay.
the King Green fight I thought was fantastic. We got him at plus 290 going into that one. Not because I won it, but I thought that was a fantastic fight. I just didn't think like I think it was Rodriguez Morales. That was a good fight. I thought maybe, but other than that, I just thought they were just just 2 guys fighting.
I think you reflect what many people felt watching it,
Yeah.
to be honest. I look at them different. I look at it as it was 10-3. 10-3, what are you talking about? 10 favorites, 3 dogs.
Yeah.
And so that's a hard card for me to make a lot of profit on. And lo and behold, I did make profit on the card. I'm going to have to look how I actually went 3-1 on this card.
Really?
But
Okay.
Boras was the loser. He was the only disappointment for us.
Yeah, Rodriguez got that win, second round KO, if I
And
remember
Boras
correctly.
floored him.
Yeah.
Our boy Boras came out. He's like, "Hey, I'm ready to fight. I'm willing to fight." He came out with fight, but the other kid was too much. Unfortunate, but you can't win them all anyway. 3-1, and we pick up some money, and we're hot. We're up on the year. And so for me, because I profited on the card,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make Steve. There's 42, 44 cards a
Yeah.
year. If I can make 1 unit per card, which is I've never been able to do, that'd be 44 units of profit over the year. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
um, I've had 18 to 25 unit wins, and so getting back to that, when I can win money on a card, it feels good going past it, moving into the
Yeah.
next one, and that's what happened.
Well, that's why I always ask you that question when I ask it, is because you look at it differently than those of us. Like I turn it on, I put a little bit of money down on it, and things like that. But I view it as an entertainment side of it. So that's why I always ask you your opinion from that perspective. But like you said, Rodriguez just Boras was just okay. He showed up. We'll give him credit for that in that fight. But obviously, the big one that I enjoyed a lot, Zellhuber and Green. Zellhuber was a 500 odd favorite when we looked at him last week here on this program when we talked about this fight and everything. It did come down close to fight time. I picked up King Green as just a flyer there at plus 290, like 5
Good
minutes
for you.
before this fight came out there, and second round KO. And I mean, Zellhuber. That hype was not there, in my opinion, for that kid. I knew nothing about these guys other than what you had told me, by the way. And two
Well, I
minutes into
told
that
you,
fight,
Green.
I was like, "Yeah, Zellhuber, what's this 500 odd favorite thing?"
Yeah, well, like I said, I can't bet a guy that lost his last fight comes minus 500 the next fight,
Yeah,
especially against a guy, as I use the word for Bobby Green, uneven. Well, you saw the other side of uneven on Bobby Green last week
yeah,
because he painted Zellhuber's fence. Zellhuber is unable to fight behind his physical attributes, his height and his length. He couldn't keep Green away from him.
yeah.
Green with the hands at the side and how jivey he was had that kid urinating in his own underwear. And so that was a really fun one for me to watch. I'm kicking myself a little that I didn't have something on Green, but if I can go 3-1 on every fight card, I'm going to be happy, and I don't care who I
Yeah,
miss.
well, exactly, right? And it was funny, too, because in my thought process, I was like, man, I'm kind of bored with these fights here. I dare I say this, Lou, it might be that they were just flyweight fights. They're all tiny guys in this fight. There was no big guy to mix it up in there. No big fights, big guys out. Maybe that's why I found it a little bit lackadaisical, kind of a fight card type of a thing. But on that, but I do remember thinking like, I'm just gonna throw $5 down on Green, and whatever happens, happens. Almost like I'm bored with this. Maybe I can make this entertaining
You
if
knew
I do
right
this.
away you were a winner
Oh no,
too. You didn't have to wait
no,
long.
that fight started, and I literally was questioning. I was like, I must be looking at something wrong here, because there's no way this other kid should have been that big of. I don't remember what he was when the fight started. I know it came down from 500, but as just a novice guy, I even recognized early on, like, this. If you just dropped me on this earth on Saturday night and said, watch this Zellhuber kid fight, he was a 500 favorite, I would have looked at you like you were nuts instantly when
Yeah,
that fight started. So.
that's a fight we call a parlay buster because everybody had Zellhuber in one leg of a parlay. They had two legs that came in,
Yeah.
Zellhuber, then Moreno. And Zellhuber just
Yeah.
smashed their model.
Just to
And
get
away
that number there. The other fight I wanted to ask you about was just Brandon Moreno and Kavanaugh there, the flyweight bout that was the main event card here. Ended up being a unanimous decision in this fight as well. Just your opinion on Kavanaugh with getting that win with the decision.
Oh, how can you not be impressed by the young man? His fourth fight into the UFC, goes to Mexico, into altitude to take on the face of Mexican MMA, Brandon Moreno. the good news for Kavanaugh is that Moreno was fighting in wet cement. He couldn't move. His will is gone. He's shot. That's a shot fighter right there.
Now, that was going to be my question on Moreno. He didn't look like he wanted to be there, is what I was literally what I wrote down in my notes. It was just like he
The
was.
mind, the mind knows how, but the body
Is that what
can't
it
do
is?
it no more.
So it's a body function, because I was going to ask you, a lot of pressure on Moreno, home fighter, Mexico City, all of that stuff. Did the pressure get to him? But you think it's just a shot fighter type situation?
No, I think he's proud. He's happy to have, excuse me, that headline, that opportunity, because he realizes himself how hard it is to get ready, and how hard it is to execute against young men like he did before, but he can't seem to now. And understand this, he's 32.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's an old guy.
Yeah.
But in flyweight terms, with the wars he's been through, he's 38 and he's out. I mean, they moved him down to 8 or 9 in the rankings, and he'll be irrelevant soon enough.
So let me ask you this. You bring this question to my mind here, just from a boxing perspective. Heavyweights are always dangerous because you don't lose the power, you lose the other stuff out there. So you're always dangerous to knock them out. Flyweights, they get hit a lot. They generally go to decisions, not a lot of knockouts in the flyweight. So your body, you just take a toll longer, or you take a toll more in the flyweight division because you absorb so many more hits?
Moreno's been hit a lot just because of the way he fights and who he's been in with. But normally, flyweights are two flies in a mason jar. They're fat. They never engage.
Okay.
It's a dance in a pillow fight. And that's why that agility and that speed and craftiness, when you're 32 as a flyweight, you're really 35. When you're
slower.
32 as a heavyweight, you're 26.
All right. Yeah, I never thought of that before, because a flyweight, like, what does a flyweight lose? I guess that's true. They lose their speed and their ability to move as they get older from that perspective. So, yeah, that makes sense there. So, I tell you what, Lou, let's take, unless there anything else on the last fight you wanted to bring up at all? I didn't know if there's anything you made notes on that you wanted to bring up.
David Martinez against Vera, that was a favorite that I played.
Yeah.
And if you look at that, it's unfortunate Vera's going the other way too. We're seeing some turnover in the UFC. But David Martinez has to improve, because he looked normal against Vera, and that's not a compliment.
It's not a Lou compliment. All right, when we come back, we'll get into it. UFC 326 from Las Vegas. We got early prelims, we got prelims, we got the main card coming up. You released last week Run to Holloway in this battle, in this fight here. So we'll get your opinion on that, of course, when we get here to Holloway Oliveira here as the main card. But we got a lot of prelim fights and early prelim fights to talk about. Let's get into it when we come back with Uncle Lou here on Thursdays. And we're back here, main event Thursdays with Uncle Lou. You can catch him on several of VSIN live shows there as well. Of course, here every Thursday. We put this out in podcast form, of course, on Robot TV on demand for your subscriptions. Our production YouTube page as well. There's an interview section we put out there with just this segment. For those of you just looking for that, of course, the podcast form as well. Just a note here. Pit Stop is going to be posted today for you racing fans. IndyCar and NASCAR is in town this week. So we'll get that weekly Pit Stop show up here today. By 2 o'clock, you'll see it posted on the YouTube, their podcast system, as well as here at Robot TV for those of you that watch us there as well. So, Lou, anyway, I do a little plug there and everything. Go ahead.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you say that IndyCar and NASCAR are both here in Phoenix this weekend?
Yep, same racetrack. Yeah, so this is the first year. Last week, IndyCar got underway at St. Petersburg, St. Pete there, Florida. IndyCar opened their season there. They had the Truck Series from NASCAR race on Saturday, IndyCar on Sunday. And then this Saturday, IndyCar's racing during the day, and then the O'Reilly Series is racing Saturday night, and then the NASCAR Cup Series on Sunday as well. So absolutely, yeah. Your buddy Dale Hillestray, out hobnobbing last night with one of the IndyCar drivers. Yeah, he was out to dinner with some friends from Dallas, and little Ferrucci just shows up and has dinner with them.
So there's going to be all kinds of race fans. I
Yeah.
mean, that Southwest Valley going to be
Yeah,
packed tomorrow.
yeah, we'll be out. Yeah, we're gonna be out there. I go out there and cover it and all of that stuff and everything. And it's gonna be
Oh,
a different.
cool.
I'm interested in seeing how the crowds mix up because an indie crowd is different than some people cross over, but they're two different crowds. So I'm
Oh,
interested in seeing
really?
what happens. Yeah, yeah.
I hadn't even considered that.
You go up a different thing there, a little snootier when you get up to the IndyCar side, but no, it's going to be fun watching these different styles of cars out there on the same racetrack and everything, and it's going to be different because normally this race, you go out there and you cover the NASCAR guys like you always do, and you talk to them and all that. Now we got that, a lot of attention is going to be paid toward IndyCar, obviously, this weekend as well out there. Yeah, so if you don't have tickets and you don't want anything to do with that crowd, don't go towards Avondale this weekend, that's for sure.
It's hard to get me to First Avenue, let alone way over there.
I know we got to drive out there, and that's an hour. It's an hour and 20 minutes from my house to get out there every day and then back
Yeah,
home
because you're
again.
way east.
Yeah,
Okay.
but the good thing is for us, we have to either be there really early and we leave late, so we get to avoid most of the traffic. So that's the positive side of it. But yeah,
So
it's a
you're going
long,
to miss the
it's
fights.
a long drive. I will on Saturday. Yeah, I will. I'll have it on. It all depends what I'm doing, because actually Ethan's going out there to help us with some video and picture stuff. Autumn goes with us. So it depends what we're doing. If the race is boring or they're out doing stuff, I can sneak it on my phone, and watch it
I was
from
going to
that
say, I
side.
know what most people are doing when they go to those things,
Yeah,
and that's
watching others.
this.
Yeah. No, unfortunately when you're doing the media stuff, you know that you have to be careful with that side of stuff. And
You can, well, no, if you're doing media
yeah,
there, you can't do
yeah,
that.
exactly. So no, and also I don't like buying $20 beers. That's ridiculous, in my opinion.
Uncle Louie don't drink no beer.
Well, everything else is just as expensive out there. But so it'll be a fun weekend there. But of course, UFC 326 this weekend from Las Vegas as well. Here, look, there's a lot of guys that I recognize on this fight. Even on the early prelims, I recognize a couple of these guys here. Fight like Bellato, I've seen him fight before. Bolanos, all the bees. Apparently, I've seen these guys fight before. I'm going to leave it to you to tell me though. Early prelims, which ones should I be paying attention to, if any?
Well, normally I wouldn't draw our attention to the first fight of the night, but you mentioned Bellato, 6'3", 30-year-old Brazilian. That's really not very good. Submission guy. He's got the body type, but he's not tough. He's awkward on his feet. Can't strike. He's going in there against the guy coming in against contender. Now, while Bellato will have experience and level of competition in the UFC face, this Luke Fernandez still happens to be 30 years old, be giving away a little bit of size and reach,
Ooh.
and obviously experience to Bellato. But what Luke Fernandez is a killer power striking finisher. And so what I think that you look at the total here, what do you got? A little 1.5
Yeah.
shaded over. So I think this is going to be Bellato early, trying to advance in on Fernandez, and if Fernandez, I think, can fend him off for a half a round, just let him swell up a little. I think Fernandez has a chance from space to finish this guy. It's probably not a fight I'm going to bet because I don't know enough about Fernandez outside of seeing him in that contender fight. And so a veteran against contender, I lean to the veteran, but Bellato's not very good, and I think they could be serving him up here for Fernandez. So there's the first one.
Well,
And then
I'm really quick. I'm always weary of a contender series guy, and then you tell me that he's 30 years old on top of it. But I'm always weary of a contender series guy coming into the UFC against a guy that has fought before, even if the talent is a little bit less. And the contender series guy being a 230 favorite or a big favorite going in. I'm always weary on those fights as they go, But you're in this case, you're saying Fernandez's power probably leans that way.
well, it opened to pick. So the
Oh, did
money's
it?
coming in on
Okay.
Fernandez, and
Okay.
I think I have to agree with it because let me put it to you this way: this is not Uncle Louie recommending Luke Fernandez. This is Uncle Louie recommending a fade on Bellato because he's just not very good.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No, I was just curious on that with the contender series. But also, do you see a lot of contender series guys being age 30? Aren't they normally young, up and coming guys trying to make it?
They can be, but they don't know. They're not always. And I take a fighter by the fighter. I mean, if the guy can fight, he can fight. Now, there's a guy coming up. In fact, I just released on Twitter yesterday, or I think it was yesterday, Asplund.
14 hours ago.
ASPLUND. And if you take a look at it, you could just go Google Asplund UFC at Wikipedia or something, and you see him, you're going to think I'm joking. He looks like he's a painter or a trash man, or he was a one-time 320-pound guy that's lost all this weight. So he's got a bunch of flabby skin, and he's not an appealing guy to look at, but he's meaner than a junkyard dog, and he can fight. And I released him. So the look of the fighter really doesn't matter to me, or where they come from. It's if they can and how they can fight.
Yeah, that's the thing. Don't judge a book by the cover, right? That's what we always ask. And then we're guilty of it, Lou. I'm guilty of it.
I've learned in the fight game that the guy that's chiseled out of marble and everything, but if you give me some guy that looks like he's a painter, somebody better watch out for that dude. So,
right.
All right, so let's go to the next fight.
Well, you got Lee and Bolanos here, and Lee's a 325 favorite here.
Lee and Bolanos.
Yep. Well, the only reason I'm bringing this up is a featherweight fight here, and South Korea fighter and a Peruvian fighter. I know the odds are off here, and it's an over unders 2.5, under minus 135, which tells you either somebody. I don't know if somebody's a submittal artist here or not, but the thing that catches me about this fight is, and I know it's an early prelim, but I'm interested in the fighting differences here between these guys, being South Korea and a Peru fighter. That's why I wanted to ask you about this early prelim fight.
Yeah, they're both basically strikers. Really, Bolanos could grapple a little, but the tail here, and you stole all my thunder.
Sorry.
I love matchups between a short, stocky Peruvian striker going to face a long, lanky Korean striker. I love those kinds of matchups. And so where you get your difference is Lee's going to be 3 inches the taller man, 3 years the younger man, 4-inch reach advantage in a fight that shakes out to be a striking match. As well, if I look at topology, Bolanos, his last fight was at 135. And this is a fight that's going to be at 145. So now you're going to compound the complexity for Bolanos by moving him from 135 pounds up a weight class against a guy that's longer, taller. Now, Bolanos got some power, don't get me wrong. But I think the legitimate favorite is the South Korean fighter. I don't know if Bolanos is going to be able to get in on him.
Yeah, that just struck me when I was doing the research last night on just what a mismatch this fight. I didn't realize Bolanos going up a weight class as well to a guy. I'm assuming Lee normally fights at that 45, right? So there's an adjustment here in this fight as well going forward there. So
and then we go up the next fight and we get another one like that. We got a guy from Brazil, is Tobias. He's coming from Contender, fighting this Kazakstani fighter that hasn't had a lot of luck in the UFC so far. Tobias will be 5 years the younger man, but only 23. So sometimes when there's a great age difference, it means a lot if one guy's 37 and one guy's 30. But if one guy's 28 and one guy's 23, sometimes you almost wonder if the guy that is 23 ain't quite a full-grown man yet. And that's kind of what I'm wondering here. The only problem is this Tobias got power coming out of every orifice. And the other kid, Nurgazne, he's a Kazakstani. He's been iced a couple times. So a fight to watch because somebody's probably going to go. Now, what's that total, Steve?
1.5, minus 105 to the over, minus 125 to the under.
Yeah, so they're saying Tobias going to knock this dude out. How long is it going to take? Okay, now we go to the next fight. and that is Sue Muharji. And Muharji's from China, long, tall, skinny striker, uses his knees and elbows against Jesus Aguilar from Mexico. Unfortunately, he didn't get to fight in the Mexico card last week. He had to fight uh, uh, in the States. And of course, while Sue Muharji's 5'9" and long and tall for 125 pounds, Aguilar's 5'4". So Aguilar will be staring him right like this and looking just over his belly button. That's how much taller that Sue
Wow.
is going to be. They're going to be a 9-inch reach advantage. Maharji's a lefty, and all kinds of money's being dumped on Sue Maharji. One problem is Jesus Aguilar. He's tough, he's determined, and he ain't afraid. And if he could take a body attack to this kid and chop him down, he may not be out of this fight. I'm not so sure I don't like Aguilar in this spot. That's a fight I'll be watching. I think if he could get this fight to the ground, he wins. And so the key will be, can a little teeny guy like that get this big, long string bean of a guy down to the ground? It should be very interesting to see. Then we go up the ranks to another 125-pound fight, Durden and Tumdenberl,
Thank
a
you for
Mongolian against a U.S. kid.
thank you for taking that.
U.S. kids lost his last three, but to pretty good competition. He's a wrestler, strikes. He's scrappy. He's gritty. Tuman Dembarel is a submission guy, and he's going to have 7 years of youth on Durden. Excuse me. Besides 7 years of youth on Durden, he's going to also have 4-inch reach advantage. This fight opened to pick. Tuman Dembarel now is minus 150-ish
Yeah.
or so. This is 2.5 over. This probably goes to decision.
Oh,
Should be an interesting fight. I want to like Durden. I want to like Durden here, but I don't know that I can bet this fight because Durden has been subbed. Tuman Dembarel is a submission guy. So
well,
that's the one thing keeping me from being as high on Durden as I am on Jesus
well,
Aguilar.
well, let me ask you this, because you said possible decision here in this fight is what you're looking at. Over under 2.5, over plus 130, under minus 166. So the odds are telling us there's a finish here at some type.
That opened over minus
So
176.
that's changed huge.
So somebody's bet a good amount of money on this fight going under 2.5,
Okay.
right? You have 2.5.
Yeah, under
Yeah.
2.5, minus 166. Yeah.
So what that line move tells me is that somebody thinks this fight's going to end in a finish. So make sure to watch it. And if it does, that means Tuman Dembarel might sub Durden.
Yeah, that's what I would take it at. That's what I would take it out with the. Well, you said it opened to pick him as well, and he's a minus 150 going into that.
Yeah,
So a lot of money on. I'm gonna call him T. A lot of money on T here
super
in this
T.
fight.
All right, next fight, Montez and Turquios. Turquios is wild. He has no power. He flails. He can grapple a little bit. He's not very good. I don't know enough about Montez to tell you whether outside he's from Venezuela. That's a fight I'll watch and learn from, but I'm surely not impressed with Turquios and understand why anybody fighting him would be a favorite.
Yeah, minus
Next
192
one,
favorite also. Yeah.
yeah. Next one, Brundage and Dante Johnson. This one should be good. Brundage has to come in on short notice. Brundage is a good, solid, strong wrestler, good kid, family man, dad. He's just struggling so hard to be a legitimate middleweight in the UFC. His abilities are there. He just isn't quite the striker he needs to be in order to excel. Meanwhile, this dude Dante Johnson, 25 years old, he's a short little fire hydrant of a guy. Brundage is going to be 4 inches the taller man, 6 years the older man, as well. That Brundage will be giving up reach, and so you've got a guy in Dante Johnson that's profusely explosive and powerful, and a guy in Brundage a little more of a plotter. This is a terrible matchup for Brundage, but he's a family man. He needs to earn. He's got kids to feed. And Dante Johnson, you can see the price tag on him is ridiculous.
Minus
That's
800
because
right now. Yeah.
he's gonna go out there and there'll be violence in this fight.
Yeah, even the over under 1.5 under is minus 185. It looks like here as well in this one. So they're even saying quick and fast in this fight. So
This one will be one you watch like this.
that's terrible for Brundage because I like Brundage. I know I've seen him fight before and
Good kid.
everything, but
Good,
yeah,
good kid. He's won some fights, but this is a bad draw. As Bob Marley saying, he draw bad card.
yeah, that's the problem. Especially being a fill-in, right on top of it, so it's even worse, I
Well,
think.
I
But
mean, he's there to say yes to the organization, so they keep using him and keep paying him. So I get it. I do understand the fighter perspective. Okay, last one on the prelims is Garbrandt and Long. This is a fascinating one because you know Garbrandt, Steve, and
yes,
Garbrandt used to be a champion at 135, but boy, has he free fallen down the ranks. He's extremely chinny. He has what we call the balsa wood beak, or the porcelain chin. His chin is more fragile than your grandmother's porcelain. I mean, if you sneeze on him, he goes.
yeah,
Okay, so we
that's what
know
happened to him in his
you can't
last
hit
fight,
him.
if I remember. I mean, he went down quick. Yeah.
If you hit him in the teeth, he's going. Okay, and so that said, he's wildly athletic, has great feet, fast as lightning, shoots straight one and twos, has some good offense, can wrestle. He's really the whole package, except that he can't absorb a flush one to the face. So he's fighting a kid named Zhao Long. Long going to be 7 years the younger guy. Other than that, they're relatively close in stature, although Long will have some reach. Uh, it's questionable whether Long really is a legit UFC fighter, in my opinion. And if Garbrandt loses to this kid, it'll be Garbrandt's last fight in the UFC because he'll have to go. I think they're serving Garbrandt up one here to keep him relevant and keep him
Okay.
vested. I just think he's going to just be way too much for Long, uh, and they got Long as the favorite.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I just
What did this open at? Because Long's a 162. You're not the only one. I was reading something about this fight last night, getting ready for this, and I was actually surprised when I saw that Long was the favorite here because everybody, at least that is leaning that way now, is just saying this is kind of a question mark fight for him. He's 162 favorite right now. Long is. What did it open at?
minus 2 to 1. So there's been money that's
Yeah,
kind of come in a little bit on Garbrandt, and I get it. I got a total here, what, two and a
two and a
half
half, and
over
it's
minus
minus 180 to the
207.
over. Yeah.
Yeah, that tells me that Long won't be able to get to Garbrandt, because I think it's going to be hard to beat Garbrandt, who lives in Vegas and trains in Vegas, to earn a decision in Vegas against Garbrandt.
Exactly right.
But
For
that's
the
a
last fight there of the prelims, then we get into the main event fights where we get. Is this RoboCop right here? Gregory
yeah,
Rodriguez.
yeah.
Look at me
It's
go.
RoboCop,
Yeah, Bruno
and this is
Ferreira
a
here in
this
this fight.
This is a rematch. This is Ferreira's debut fight, and they give him RoboCop. It's like, wow, who did this guy tick off that they give him RoboCop as his opener? And he's a fellow Brazilian. And they went out there, and RoboCop, as many Brazilians can, just totally threw IQ out. Uh, hit Ferreira with a few. Ferreira hit him with a few. Then RoboCop said, "Yeah, I'm going to stand here and bang with this guy." And as soon as he got "guy" out of his mouth, Ferreira hit him, knocked him out as cold as a freaking mackerel on a dock. He was out. And so now, after the 6-8 fights each, both guys fighting top line guys, RoboCop has had probably the better level of competition. He's faced a higher grade of competitor, but he's lost to some of them. But he's also in the process of losing, learned how to be a world class top elite fighter. So he's bringing that into the cage. And Ferreira's won some really good, strong fights himself. And he's bringing the same explosive quickness devastating power. So the question in this fight is simply this: will RoboCop be smart enough to just go out there and find a way, sell his soul to the devil to get Ferreira on his back, off his feet, and grapple him up? Because if he does that, he wins the fight. If he decides he's going to stand and try and bang with Ferreira, he's playing Ferreira's fight, he's playing Ferreira's game, and he may not make it out because RoboCop has been rung up a couple times. So which one's it going to be? I don't know. Who's the underdog in the fight?
Vegas doesn't know either. Ferrara's the underdog, plus 154. Rodriguez is a minus 185 favorite, but over-under's 1.5, minus 110 to the over, minus 120 to the under.
Yeah, so somebody who's which guy's going?
Yeah,
which guy gonna go? And I like the fact that Rodriguez has more ways to win. Will he use his IQ is the question. I don't know. I want to like Ferrara a little.
There you go for that. I just like it when the odds are like, when even Vegas goes, yeah, we don't know. Just whatever you guys want to do, just put your money down and let's just watch this thing here. Then you got Drew Dober, my buddy here, against Michael Johnson, of all guys, battling it out.
Yeah, Dober's short, stocky, granite striker with tremendous power, loves to put on a show. He walks right to the middle and gets it on. And in Michael Johnson, you got a guy who does the exact same thing, only Michael Johnson's a little bit taller, a little bit longer, and Michael Johnson's also a little bit older. And if you're older than Dober, you're real old because Dober's 37, Michael Johnson 39. So this is the geriatric fight that under any circumstance, you can't miss this fight because these two guys are just going to throw down. And they're 155 pounders. What's the total in this one, Steve?
1.5. I'm sorry, I apologize. Yeah, 1.5, minus 215 to the over, though.
So at 215 overs, I don't think this fight in any way, shape, or form goes the distance. So I would lean to either fight does not go the distance or the under. One of these two dudes going to get KO'd here. And I think Michael Johnson is the more erratic fighter. He has great outings and then some not so good. He's coming off a really good one. Dober's coming off a really bad one. And for that reason, I may lean to Michael Johnson here a little bit.
On this one, yeah, because I think I remember about Dober is he just stands in there and he gets hit and he also hits at the same time. So it's just a matter of what style and I guess who lands the big one in this one, right? That we're looking at between these guys.
They're both going to land big ones. It's going to be who lands the biggest ones because they're both. I'm telling you what, this can be a great fight.
So do not miss. I'm going to write that down here so I know when to log in this weekend and take a look at it. Then you got Rob Font coming up against Raul Rosas Jr. Here in this, I do remember Rosas here fighting before, but I remember Rob Font very well, and from his last fight as well. Font is a plus 190 dog. Minus 230 here for Raul here in this fight.
Font's a grizzled old veteran, 38-year-old fighter, going to be 17 years older than 21-year-old Raul Rosas, who trains here in Phoenix at the MMA lab for this fight. Rosas is a really, really strong wrestler, grappler, and Font sports 42% takedown defense. So the plan is clear. For the Rosas side, they're going to go out there and cut distance away from Font, grab hold of him, press him against the cage, and get him to the floor. If they can't, they lose. Rob Font, who's training now at TriStar up in Canada because they're a great wrestling place, he's hoping to get a little bit of takedown defense instilled in him because he knows what's coming from Rosas, and he knows he has to keep him off of him in order to have a chance at this fight. Font knows if he keeps it standing, he wins. Font also knows if he gets swept off his feet and goes down on bottom, this other kid could submit him. And so therein lies the intrigue of this fight, besides the vast age difference. The one thing I will say from Rosas is he's got styled hair. He came from the ghetto and now he's got a little bit of money. He knows what he's fighting for. I know he's focused, but I almost wonder if at 21 years old, uh, maybe I have some questions. So this fight is going to tell me a lot because you have a grown man against a young man, and it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah, over under is 2.5, minus 260 to the over right now. So they're leaning decision here in this fight as well. But Rosas is a minus 230 favorite going into this as well. So, like when it
Well,
comes to your point of, hey, getting him on the ground and winning that fight, that kind of tells you, kind of gives you an interesting perspective there with those odds.
well, if they're on the ground, it'll be Rosas on top, and he'll dominate, and he'll win a 30-27
Okay.
decision. And if it's not on the ground and it stays standing, anything can happen.
Ooh-wee. So pay attention to that in MMA Lab anytime the local guys get involved. Then we got De Ritter against Baralho here from Brazil. These two guys, I've seen these guys before, and actually I was going through some old notes. They both lost their last fights. This is what I did, Lou,
Yeah.
on top of it, but I don't remember how they lost them. I do remember, though, and I made a note here that Baralho actually, I have a little bit of a disappointment here from his last fight. This is a middleweight bout here, so tell us about these guys.
Yeah, Barallo lost his last fight to Imavov in France, and it's because 2 weeks earlier he weighed in to be the replacement of another fight. So he went through all the mental and
Yeah.
physical expense of cutting the weight to make that 2 weeks later, then turned around, tried to fight against a legitimate badass and got his butt kicked. He had no energy and looked bad. So he comes in off the bounce. The other guy, De Ritter, comes in off the bounce too because he got beat by Jared Allen in a 5-round fight where for 2 rounds he was winning impressively, and then finally in the third round he slowed considerably, and in the fourth round, after the fourth, he couldn't get off his stool. He was so gassed and tired. But it was his fourth fight in 11 months, and he is a 205-pound athlete that cuts weight to fight at 185. And so those 4 fights in 11 months, all those weight cuts, did they affect him? They absolutely did. Now, the two fighters. Barallo is a Brazilian bad hombre. He can strike. He's got power. He's got good feet. He can take a punch, and he's got world-class BJJ. Rene de Ritter can't even spell strike. He has no feet. He can't beat me in a boxing match, and he wouldn't want to box me. But he has absolute elite world class grappling. And because of his immense size, he used to compete at 205. Now he's fighting these 185ers. He towers over and weighs way more than most of his competition. And he will in this one. Now, Barallo's listed at 5'10, but I've seen him stand next to each other, and he's not 5'10. He's more like 6 foot, and De Ritter's 6'2 or 6'3. So De Ritter will have physical size and weight on Barallo, but Barallo has more ways to win because on the feet, where De Ritter will not want to be, he will be inept, literally inept. He will sell out to go and try and wrestle up and get Barallo down. And when Barallo can face that fire with his fire, and I believe they're equal, then it's going to be turn into a striking match, and that's where RDR is inept. And so the advantage goes to Barallo here. And I think he's the one that wins this fight.
A decision fight? The odds are saying decision. 2.5 is the over, or is the number there? Over is minus 195 right now.
Barallo often goes to decision, and this guy's a huge guy, so that's more than likely.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure with that when you were describing the way he can hit. Usually non-strikers also generally, and there's a generalization I'm throwing out there. I could be wrong. But generally, non-strikers also don't like to be hit and struggle at
Well,
getting hit. So,
well, they don't have any strike defense, and De
yeah.
Ritter's guilty of all of that. And so I wouldn't, I, I, Barallo has fought to decision before, and I think the mentality that De Ritter's going to bring to this fight, to this 3-round fight,
Yeah.
after being exposed and everybody saw him quit in a 5-round fight, is going to be such that this goes to a decision.
All right, perfect. And then finally, the main card here, lightweight bout here. Max Holloway comes in, the champion, if I do recall, against Charles Oliveira. In this one, last week at the end of the show, you said run to Holloway in this one. Still feel that way here before the weigh-ins?
Well, I think I got cute and said run, don't walk,
Yeah.
but we're not going to mention that today. We're just going to say that I like Holloway. His price last week was minus 215. You have to pay more now. So if you didn't run last week, you have to pay a little bit more to get Holloway this time.
Minus 220 right now on DraftKings.
He's what?
Minus 220.
Oh, so you don't have to pay too much more. And that's probably about right for this fight. He should be the favorite. He is the BMF title holder. Oliveira is rightfully a challenger in BMF. Now, we go back 11 years when these guys first fought. And at that point in time, Max was a featherweight, as was Charles. Charles was fighting the moniker of being a quitter, of a guy that when he got into the kitchen, it was too hot, he would curl up. So they go into this fight, and a minute and a half in, Charles does this against the floor. They call out the fight. Holloway wins. We don't know to this day what the mysterious injury was. Shoulder, collarbone, esophagus. So something caused that. And so Charles had to further bear the moniker of being a quitter and a guy that when the heat got turned up, he would curl up. Now, flash to now, over the course of 11 years, has Charles busted through that stereotype? Absolutely, he has. He's fought and beaten Gaethje, Poirier, Mike Chandler. The dude's a beast. He's lost some fights, but the dude is not a quitter. He's a world-class fighter. He's earned this position to be here. And in this fight, when it starts, he's going to do what he has to do, and that is grapple, because that's his advantage over Max. He's surely not going to be able to strike with Max. Oliveira has power. If he hits Max, he can crumple him. But in the form of trying to throw power punches at Max, Max's straight shots will be too voluminous and too much for Oliveira to take. So Oliveira has to make him grapple, fend him off, and make Max fight Max from close quarters. Max is stupendous, pardon me, with using his feet to create and maintain distance. That's what he must do, and I think he will do it. You want to get cute and not pay the negative price, take Max to win inside the distance. I do think that for all intents and purposes, he will finish Charles.
Okay, yeah, because I would say over-under on this is 2.5, minus 175 to the over on this fight as well. So
we've seen some 2.5s out there. We've seen some 3.5s out there. In my blog, I wrote that one person, if you wanted to, you can go over 2.5 and then bet the fight does not go to decision, and you could hit both.
Oh, there you go. That's the things I don't think about, Lou. Right? That's why you got to go to gamblu.com and read the blog and stuff as well. Follow you at Gamblu as well on X because you put stuff out all the time there as well and everything. So, Lou, we got a good card this weekend. It's going to be fun to watch there and all excited. I'm going to have to find ways to watch it and get creative in watching it or catch up on it this weekend. Any last words for you today?
I tell you, forget the fights. Go enjoy yourself at the car races. Have a cold sarsaparilla for Uncle Lou, and we'll talk next week when I throw another 3-1 at him.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the important thing, right? That you're looking forward to from that side. From there, so 7 p.m. main card, 3 p.m. for the early prelims from Las Vegas. There, of course, Paramount Plus this weekend. Lou, have a good week. I appreciate you joining us remotely. I know you're a busy guy out there. So go do all your other busy stuff now that you got the most important thing done today here on the main event.
This is a most important thing, and thanks for having me.
You got it, man. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week. For everybody else, McCollum on Business is already posted. We do them in the mornings here at 7 a.m. Pit stop coming up here this afternoon. It'll be posted around 2. Speaking of racing, we'll get you set up for this weekend. Come and join me, everybody. See you tomorrow.